So, a couple weeks ago, maybe not even, I discussed the Johnny Gaudreau situation. I'm almost out of cherry Pepsi, so I have to go back to Coke Zero temporarily. Anyways, until I get more cherry Pepsi, anyways. But Gaudreau, and I said at the time, the Flames couldn't pay Gaudreau $8+ million. That's just crazy. And there was some suggestion that, well, that's the going rate. Brad Treliving has been firm in his methods, and I have to say that management in Alberta is making management in BC look pretty bad right now. Johnny Gaudreau is locked up for 6 years at approximately $6.5 million in a salary cap. That is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic for the Flames. Gaudreau's not going to go broke. He's not going to starve. He didn't take market value. He didn't. He could have got $8 million on the market. He's a top 10 scorer, and he is, one of the most exciting young players in the NHL right now. But he also understands it's important to start the season on time. And this deal got done last minute. So now you've got Kucherov, Raquel, Lindholm, and Trouba. Which of those four guys should get paid more money than Johnny Gaudreau? Kucherov's been rumored at 7. Lindholm's been rumored at 5.5, 6. Raquel, I don't think Raquel's earned a huge raise. And then Trouba is just a crazy person because he hasn't proven anything yet. But it is interesting to me because with Gaudreau signing for 6.5, it's proof that this mysterious thing that people believe that all contracts are tied to each other. So if you and I are at the same level, and I sign a 5-year, $5 million a year agreement, well then you're worth $5 million a year for 5 years. No. Every team has its own internal salary structure. That's just the way it is. And players will either buy into it or they'll reject it. Treliving has an internal structure here, and I respect it. Because by locking down both Monahan and Gaudreau for long-term, reasonable contracts, he's made it so that he can feel the competitive team behind him. So that he can fill out the roster without worrying so much. I look at Chicago, and there's good reason to look at Chicago and look at Taves and Kane. Taves and Kane signed $10.5 million a year. And you could say, well, they're worth it. They're worthy of being the top 2 paid players in the league. Okay. But while that may be their market value, you can't say they took a hometown discount to stay in Chicago. And you can't say they left Chicago in an enviable position. Think about it this way. Taves and Kane cost you $20 million. Gaudreau and Monahan cost you about 13. That's $7 million extra that the Flames have right off the bat that Chicago doesn't. Now, Chicago's won 3 Stanley Cups. Calgary's won nothing with this roster. I get that. But Gaudreau's going to get better. Monahan's going to get better. And I don't know how much longer Calgary is going to be behind Chicago. I predicted during the summer, and I still think Calgary makes the playoffs. I still think they're third in the division behind Anaheim and San Jose. And I may be wrong. They may be better than Anaheim. If Lindholm and Raquel don't get signed, that weakens their blue line, and it weakens their depth up front even more than it already was. And their depth up front wasn't great to start with. I mean, the Kings could bounce past Calgary. Definitely. But with actual goaltenders in Calgary this year, there's no reason they shouldn't make the playoffs. Um, there's a thought I've had, looking at Gaudreau and looking at some of these guys, and then while I'm doing the spreadsheet for the hockey pool, which I will use then to come up with some very simple way of cataloging who's got what points. The way things are right now, I'm starting to wonder if I should have my own team in this hockey pool, my own, and pick guys that nobody's paying attention to, and pick guys who are flying under the radar. Pick a Sean Monahan. Pick these guys. Because I think with what's going on in Calgary and what Winnipeg showed today, I think Canadian franchises are finally waking up and realizing when they need to keep players, when they need to sign them long term, and when it's time to cut the cord and just say, all right, that we need to part ways. That's important for these teams to come out of whatever funk they've been in and move ahead. Because we can all argue amongst ourselves about which of the 8 Canadian teams is in the best shape. It's Toronto, Shanahan, Babcock, Austin Matthews, Marner, Nylander. It's Montreal, Carey Price. And, Shea Weber's going to be great for them on the blue line, and Galchenyuk's a first-line center. It's Ottawa, with Erik Karlsson on the blue line, and a solid, roster top to bottom, not necessarily superstar categories for any of them, but Guy Boucher's coach is going to make them more offensive and make their defense better. It's Winnipeg, because Winnipeg's, finally realized they need to go to Hellebuck as the starter, and Scheifele's coming into his own. Wheeler's coming off of a career year. Byfuglien is a leader in the locker room, and whatever they get back for Trouba is going to be sensational. It's Calgary, because Calgary just signed Gaudreau, and they signed Monahan, and you've got a solid blue line led by Giordano and Dougie Hamilton, and their goaltending's fantastic. It's Edmonton. They lucked out, and Puljujarvi fell to them at number 4 in the draft, and they've got Connor McDavid back and looking healthy, coming off of a strong appearance at the World Cup. They've got their defense beefed up a bit, and they're going to get better because Larson, and no matter how bad Russell might be, he'll be an improvement over some of the guys who've bummed around on the Edmonton blue line. It's Vancouver because huh. So yeah, it's going to be one of those things where we as fans all argue over which Canadian team has actually got better, but all of them are coming from a position of weakness, and they're all looking to bounce back. Vancouver signed Eriksson, so that's something that happened. And they teamed with the Sedins, who played pretty well at the World Cup until Team Europe shut them down. And pretty good. Anyways, so in terms of the Johnny Gaudreau deal, I would sum it up this way. Gaudreau wins because he gets lots of money. He gets 6 years. He's got job security. Tree Living wins as GM because he's got cap flexibility now with his major stars all signed. And if you're a Flames fan, you win because you get 6 more years of Johnny Gaudreau. And you get to watch him and Monahan grow together. So there really isn't a loss here. Anyways, that's it from me for tonight. And yeah, I honestly think that as we're on the eve of a new season, if you're a Canadian fan in almost every city, you have a reason to look at your team and be excited right now. And I don't dare take any of that excitement away from any of us. Um, Miller? No, it's not really. Demko's in Utica. So I'll keep thinking about that last team that I mentioned and excitement. Because, yeah. I even had an idea of doing like a Thanksgiving video, but I think I'll save that for American Thanksgiving for what teams are thankful for a little bit past a month into the season. It should be interesting to do that then. Anyways, thanks for watching. I will be back tomorrow. I start a 3-day weekend tomorrow night because I consider a night when I don't have to work the next morning to be a non-school night, so to speak. The school night for my son. It is for him tonight too. He better get home soon. Anyways, thanks for watching. I think this is going to be awesome, and I'm glad that this got dealt with. Hopefully, Kucherov, Raquel, and Lindholm all get signed. Trouba seems like he's not coming back to the Jets, and honestly, if the Jets want a first string left wing defenseman, like your number one left wing defenseman, which is apparently where they plan on playing Trouba this year, um, I think any team in the running, their first left hand defenseman is a non starter in a trade for Trouba. It's just not worth it. Anyways, I'll be interested to know what you guys think about the deal. I think this is as close to a bridge contract as you're going to get with a star player like Gaudreau. So good on Calgary getting it done. Good on Gaudreau getting it done. Now it's in the rearview mirror, and they can go from there. And awesome. Thank you very much for watching, and I will talk to you all again very soon.